Ethan Harris never had trouble sleeping, but lately, his dreams had taken a sinister turn. They weren't just bad dreams, they were too real. He could feel the cold, hear the whispers, and wake up with the scent of something rotten still in his nose. It started a week ago when he moved into his new apartment. The place was old, tucked away in a quiet part of town. The landlord was eager to rent it out, offering a deal too good to refuse. Ethan took it without question. That was his first mistake. That night, he had his first nightmare. He was in his own bedroom, but something was wrong. The walls were too close. The air smelled damp. A soft scratching sound echoed in the darkness. Then he saw it. A figure crouched in the corner, its body twisted and broken. Its eyes, wide and glassy, reflected the dim moonlight. It smiled. Ethan tried to move, but his body was frozen. The thing crawled toward him, its joints cracking with each step. Its breath was hot against his skin. And then he woke up. Or so he thought. The figure was still there. But this time, it wasn't in the corner, it was beside him. Ethan bolted upright, heart pounding. The room was normal again, no figure, no scratching, just the soft hum of his fan. Just a dream, he whispered, trying to shake the fear. But the next night, it happened again and again and again. The nightmares weren't just repeating, they were evolving. The figure changed each time. Some nights it had elongated arms, fingers that stretched toward him. Other nights, it stood over his bed, whispering things he couldn't understand. Then, on the fifth night, Ethan woke up with scratch marks on his arm. They were real. Terrified, Ethan started researching the apartment's history. He found an article from decades ago. A man had died in that very room. The police report said he suffered from sleep paralysis and claimed a shadowy figure was tormenting him. Eventually, he was found dead, his body contorted in an unnatural position. Ethan's blood ran cold. Was it happening to him too? Desperate, he visited an old bookstore in town, searching for anything that could help. The owner, an elderly woman with piercing eyes, listened to his story without surprise. "You've invited something in," she said. "A nightmare entity. It feeds on fear. The more you dream about it, the stronger it becomes." "How do I stop it?" Ethan asked. She handed him an old, leather-bound book. "You must face it. If you run, it will never leave." That night, Ethan prepared. He set up cameras, locked his doors, and placed the book beside him. If the entity wanted him, he would fight. The dream started as always. He was in his room. The air was thick, suffocating. The walls seemed to breathe. Then, the figure appeared. But this time, Ethan didn't freeze. He stood his ground. "I know what you are," he said, his voice trembling. "You're just a nightmare." The figure grinned. "Am I?" The room collapsed into darkness. Ethan was falling, spiraling into an abyss of writhing shadows and whispers. He landed hard on the floor, but it wasn't his bedroom anymore. It was a graveyard, fog curling around the tombstones. The figure stood across from him, taller now, its body flickering between forms. "You can't escape," it hissed. Ethan remembered the book's instructions. Face your fear. He took a deep breath and stepped toward it. "You don't control me." The entity shrieked, its body distorting violently. The shadows trembled. It was afraid. Ethan lunged forward, reaching out, and the moment his hand touched the creature, a blinding light erupted. Ethan jolted awake. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. His heart pounded, but the air felt lighter. He glanced around, no scratches, no whispers, no figure. He reached for the book, but it was gone. Ethan took a deep breath and smiled. The nightmares were over. Or so he hoped. Because in the corner of the room, something shifted.